Doctor Doom might be coming to Marvel Rivals, and if that's true, we could be at the start of something much bigger than you realize, because if we're getting the main villain of Marvel Rivals as a playable character, then we could be witnessing the end of what I would call Phase 1 of Rivals. The Doom arc, an era where nearly every major story somehow led back to Doctor Doom, which means if Doom is finally stepping onto the battlefield, somebody has to replace him. Somebody has to become the next major threat, the villain that kicks off Phase 2 of Marvel Rivals. And after spending way too much time researching, I think there are 3 characters who makes the most sense. But before we get into them, let's talk about why Doom is different. So let's talk about why Doom is different. And to do that, we first need to talk about what I mean when I say Phase 1 and Phase 2. Fans of the MCU must be familiar with these terms, but for the people who only play the games, let me explain what I mean. Because when I look at Marvel Rivals, the first 10 seasons are all telling one overarching story. Doom versus Doom. The time stream entanglement, the multiversal chaos. No matter where the story goes, it always leads back to Doctor Doom. That's what I would call Phase 1 of Marvel Rivals. And if Doom really becomes playable in Season 11, then Phase 1 might finally be ending. So, what makes Doom different? And no, I don't mean from a gameplay perspective. I'm sure Marvel Rivals could make an amazing Doctor Doom kit tomorrow if they wanted to. What I mean is why Doom is different from a story perspective. Marvel Rivals has actually been surprisingly consistent when it comes to its biggest villains. Take Null or Kingpin for an example. Both got major story focus, yet neither became playable. The devs clearly treat some characters as story pieces first and playable characters second. And then there's Doctor Doom. Unlike Null and Kingpin, Doom isn't just a seasonal villain. He's the villain. The entire conflict of Marvel Rivals exists because of Doom and Doom 2099. The time stream entanglement and the multiversal chaos, like I said, always leads back to Doom, which is exactly why these Season 11 leaks are so interesting. Because Marvel Rivals has spent almost 2 years keeping Doom at the center of the story while purposefully keeping him off the battlefield. And now that might finally be changing. Now that's something that turns gears in my head. Because whatever happens at the end of Season 10 might be big enough to force Doom to take matters into his own hands, to step down from the throne, to stop pulling all the strings from the shadows, and enter the fight himself. And if that's what's really happening, who is dangerous enough to make Doctor Doom leave his throne? Thanos. Who else but the Mad Titan himself could shake the throne of the Emperor? After all, the balance that must be maintained has been all over the place lately. Thankfully for Thanos, the Doom we see in Rivals is not God Emperor Doom, so don't worry, this won't happen. Now, the Dooms we know in Rivals are powerful, they are dangerous, but they're not untouchable, which means a threat on the scale of Thanos could exactly be the kind of event that forces Doom onto the battlefield. Because even Doom can't simply ignore the Infinity Stones. Aside from being someone who can challenge Doom directly, our Phase 2 villain needs another quality. They need to be capable of carrying a story for years. And that's something Thanos has always excelled at. Master plans, cosmic schemes, long-term goals. Nobody plays the long game quite like Thanos. Not only that, but it would finally allow Rivals to start expanding into the cosmic side of Marvel, which has honestly been lacking. Yeah, I'm looking at you, mutants. If Thanos ends up being the Phase 2 villain, I could easily see Captain Marvel being the second character of Season 11, because just like Doom, Thanos has a long list of enemies, but rivals could do something even bigger. What if they don't follow the Doom pattern? What if Season 11 isn't just Doom becoming playable? What if it's Doom versus Thanos? Now that would be a worthy way to start Phase 2. Both playable, both trying to gain the upper hand, both recruiting allies throughout future seasons. And since neither of them can afford to sit back and let others do their work, having both of them directly involved actually makes perfect sense. But let's not put all our eggs in one basket now. What if the one who forces Doom onto the battlefield isn't another ruler, but rather a force of nature?
You stand before Galactus. The Devourer of Worlds honors you.
Introducing Galactus. Unlike Thanos who conquers worlds, Galactus consumes them. Yeah, that's like a step above. He doesn't care about kingdoms. He doesn't care about empires. Oh, and let me tell you, he definitely does not care about whatever 5D chess game Doom is playing. So, why would he matter? Because there's one other character who's been relevant since Season 0. One character who's been watching everything unfold, narrating it all to us players. You guessed it. Galactus. So, what if what changes in Phase 2 isn't someone challenging Doom, but someone overshadowing him? Suddenly, the fight between two Dooms becomes irrelevant, because now the entire time entanglement is facing something far bigger. Imagine this. Galactus notices the strange energies leaking from the time entanglement, Chronovium, the fractured timelines, the instability, and for the first time in a long time, the Devourer of Worlds sees something that might actually satisfy his endless hunger. Except Galacta doesn't exactly agree with her father's methods, and she's become far too invested in all the EOMM agents trying to throw our ranked games, so suddenly the story shifts. Not Doom versus Doom, not hero versus villain, but father versus daughter. And in that scenario, everybody has to fight, even Doom, because it doesn't matter how perfect his plans are if Galactus simply eats the entire board. Now that feels worthy of Phase 2. And if Galactus arrives, there's really only one character that makes sense to arrive as the second character of Season 11, the most requested cosmic character in Marvel Rivals history, the Herald of Galactus, Silver Surfer. So, now you're probably thinking, we've talked about cosmic threats, we've talked about conquerors, what else could possibly be left? Well, let's just say I saved the best for last. To understand this theory, we need to go all the way back to Season 5, back when the Grand Master hired Gambit to steal something from the Collector's vault. Now for those of you who weren't paying attention to the lore, Gambit wasn't stealing some random artifact. He was stealing a contract. And that contract might be the single biggest clue we have gotten so far, because it was a contract between Doom and the devil himself.
Okay, Mr. Dormammu man.
Dormammu? Dormammu? Dormammu?
You can call me Mephisto.
Mephisto. Somewhere in Doom's past, he made a deal with the devil. We don't know exactly why, we don't even know what he wanted, but we do know one thing. When you make a deal with the devil is the one with the upper hand, and he always comes to collect. That's why I think Mephisto might be the strongest candidate so far, because unlike Thanos or Galactus, Mephisto already has a direct connection to Doom. The groundwork has already been laid. The threads already exist. All Rivals has to do is pull it. And when Mephisto finally comes to collect on whatever Doom owes him, Doom won't have a choice. He'll have to step on to the battlefield himself. But there's another reason why I love this theory. Because if Mephisto arrives, there's really only one character who makes sense to follow. Not because he's popular, not because players want him, and trust me, they want him, but because he's the one hero who can make a fool out of the devil himself. Ghost Rider. And with that, we have reached the end of the video. Out of all the possibilities, my money is still on Mephisto. Not only because of the contract from Season 5, but because it feels like the one theory that's already been quietly set up inside Rivals lore. Regardless of whether I'm right or whether Marvel Rival does something completely different, let me know down in the comments below. Who do you think will end up becoming the next major villain of Marvel Rivals? Is it one of my picks? Is it somebody I didn't even mention? Or do you think I'm overthinking this entire thing and Doom is just getting added to the roster with absolutely no story significance? I'd genuinely love to hear your theories. Tomorrow, Marvel Rivals is doing a big live stream to do a season premiere of Season 9. This is a first, and a lot of creators who have been invited to showcase the season after the reveal is over have been gassing this reveal up. So, I've decided to react to the live stream live on this channel at 12 PM PT. So, subscribe if you don't want to miss out on the biggest reveal of Rivals happening tomorrow, and I'll see you during the reveal. See ya!